Hi, Internet. Kim here.
Chris here, and this is Rambling Tea Time. Hey everyone, welcome back to a new episode of Rambling Tea Time with Chris and Kim. How are you doing, Kim?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Y'all is fine. I'm doing
Okay.
well.
You want me to use a different
Yes,
adjective,
use
right?
a different adjective to describe how you're feeling right now.
I'm good. I feel like good is... I don't like to say I'm good.
You don't like to say I'm good? Feels wrong? Is it a lie? Does it not? Is fine better than good?
Fine is better than good for me.
Why?
I don't know why.
I mean, they both kind of mean the same thing anyways, right?
I know.
But one has a greater meaning or much fine-tuned meaning for you.
That was such...
It was terrible. I don't know what was going with that. But I'm doing great as well. I bumped my toe really hard this morning when I got up in a haze. So it's been hurting all throughout the day. But other than that, pain, doing pretty good.
Okay. Then,
So what have you been up to, Kim? What?
I've been reading a lot of comics.
Comics.
I mean manga, manhwa.
They're all the same media.
Exactly, it's a comic. Can't I just say comics?
Comics is fine, yeah. But most of the time when I think comics, I think of more like Western comic type stuff, or like maybe European comics, maybe. That's what I think.
Okay.
I mean, okay, it's like calling an anime a cartoon and then saying I was watching cartoons. You're not going to think that the person's talking about anime, are they? You're not.
Well,
So when you mention comics, I'm like, oh, comics. It's so then you have to correct yourself and say manga. I'm like, oh, okay. See, there's a difference, even though the thing is the same type of media. There's a clear difference because I wouldn't say that I'm watching cartoons when I'm talking about watching anime.
right. So the reason I said comics is because it wasn't just manga comics. It was manhwa as well.
So Chinese or
Oh.
is that Korean? I can't remember. Manhwa.
So hwa with HWA is Korean.
Right.
HUA
is
is
Chinese.
Chinese.
So you've been bringing it. Oh, okay, manhwa.
Hua. I'm doing like that on purpose so that you can hear it. I'm trying to pronounce a W.
Okay.
Yeah.
They all just boil together as different stylings in my mind.
Yeah. Anyhow, for manga, there's this manga that I had on my list for a really long time that I just kind of finally read. It's called Majo to Yajuu, which is The Witch and the Beast. Do you know of it?
Nope.
Well, it's about this guy named Ashaf and this girl called Guido, and they work for this thing called the Magical Order. No, the Order of Magical Resonance, right?
Okay.
And they kind of go out and solve cases. It's like that kind of way where a volume would be one mission and the next,
okay.
like so on, and they will solve and resolve and stuff like that. I don't think what I'm about to say is a super spoiler because it's kind of like revealed in the first 2 chapters.
Okay.
The guy is not the beast,
It's the girl?
actually. Yes.
Okay.
So Ashaf he's the one who actually like does the magic. Okay. He's more,
The witch.
but he isn't, but he's the magic user.
The witch.
Yeah, he is the witch. Okay. And the girl Guido is actually not a girl. So
Okay.
Guido is the beast that is, let's say, his astral body is what is in the girl form that he takes
Okay.
because he was cursed by a witch. Okay, so his real form, they carry around his real form in a coffin. Ashaf like carries it around. And
Okay.
then whenever certain requirements are met,
They release the
then
beast.
basically they can do that, and Guido can do, what Guido does and fix things,
Gotcha.
beat people, kind of thing.
Understood.
Yeah, I like it though. I like the magic aspect. I don't want to say that it's not important. Of course it is. It's main to the whole thing, right? And so there are other witches that also go around with their partners and, deal with other things and kind of stuff. But the two of them, Ashaf and Guido, their whole deal is to find the particular witch that cursed Guido so that he can go back to being, not a little girl kind of thing, basically. And I say little girl, but the form that he takes on isn't like a little girl.
Okay. I gotcha.
She's a young lady form.
I gotcha.
That works better. Yeah. I like it. I like the art style. It's really good. Really good art. But there's just one thing that I am like, well, this could be better. You ever read like the pages in a manga and it feels like the panels, like from one panel to the next panel, they're side by side, and one comes after the other, but it feels like something is missing in between.
You mean like
A
the movement,
a movement,
yes,
an action. It
Yes.
feels like something. Sometimes it's like that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I've had that issue with with a couple mangas where it feels like the flow of maybe a action scene or something from one panel to the next, it doesn't flow just right. It's enough, but it feels like I'm missing the characters moving into
Right.
range
Or
of each
an
other or something.
object, or I don't know.
There's any speed lines to show out the
Yeah,
character.
there are
Stuff
lots
like that.
of those,
Weird
though.
things like that.
I don't feel like it's not a matter of like angles and stuff, and they have great angles. Did I say that the art is really
Yeah, I've
good?
mentioned this.
It's really great. But I feel like some things are not there, and it gives me vibes of, you remember Jingniza that we talk about?
Jeez, is
That's
it-
in terms of the art. Now, these two things, I would never say that the art is bad or like all over the place. But in Jingniza, sometimes you can't understand how do we got from A to B,
yes,
kind of thing. It's like that. It's like there's A.1 missing, kind of,
I know what you mean.
Anyhow, so yeah, Majo to Yajuu. I really like it, and we've got to a part. I got to a part recently that it's really like what. Anyhow, it's good.
I don't
It's
know
a
what
good
any of
read.
those noises mean, but I
Oh, you don't know what those noises mean?
did something amazing happen?
I can't tell you because it will be super spoiler.
Okay.
Super spoiler.
Super
I only
spoiler.
mini spoil. I'm not a super spoiler.
I'm going to spoil the ending of the next 3 manga that I talk about right now.
Okay,
I'm
what's
just
the
kidding.
first one?
I'm just kidding. I was gonna say spoil the end of Claymore, but Claymore's come and gone so long ago. So anybody that cares about that series, then again,
Okay, so I am of the opinion that you can't spoil something if a year has gone by. No one has the right to say it is, well,
Eren
It's
did
a
X
spoiler.
at the end of Attack on Titan or something, because I have still not read the end
I
yet.
have.
And you have been nice and courteous, and you haven't mentioned anything.
It
But
wasn't like that. It was like I read it and I was like, whatever, I don't care.
exactly,
I mean, in the first place, I
And
only read
everybody
it
is like
because I wanted to know what happened.
yes, because you do watch the anime.
So, and I heard that it ended. So,
Yeah.
I just picked it from wherever I was and
Yeah,
whatever.
but some people be loud enough on the internet and be like,
I told you that I didn't like the ending though.
I know you've told me that. I've seen everybody else on the internet talking about how they done it. They
Oh, they
don't like
didn't?
that the
Oh,
ending.
okay, great. Then the internet, they know what they're talking about.
I don't know. I'm still behind. I will get around to reading it and get into the end eventually. But
Well,
yeah. But okay. But what I was going to bring that out to talk about was where. How long is enough time for you to spoil something for someone? Like if something
I
ended
just
like
said a
10 years
year.
ago. Okay, year. Only 1 year. That's fair,
A
I guess.
year to okay.
Okay, it depends on the person, I guess, that you're like talking to, or they like if you know someone who's reading, watching something, right, and they haven't gotten to the end of it, right, and you accidentally let something slip, right? You get where I'm going with this? Because
I
I
hear
make this
you.
mistake
But listen,
all the
listen,
time.
listen. This is how it's like sometimes. Imagine in your mindscape,
Okay,
okay?
yes.
Imagine that you went to catch the train or the bus or a taxi or Uber or whatever, and you're just
Mm-hmm.
waiting outside by, a tree or something.
Okay.
Okay? Under the shade. You're just waiting for it to come. And then someone comes and stands beside you as well.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, you're watching some clips of the thing on your phone. All right.
Uh-huh.
And imagine you are into this thing. It
Mm-hmm.
has like 4 seasons and it's completed, and you have only seen three.
Uh-huh.
Okay. But the person besides you sees that you're watching this
Yeah.
thing and they're like, oh my God, when Sheila died in the end, I was like so devastated. And that you didn't know that Sheila died because that
As
happened in
Sheila
the
was your
fourth
favorite
season.
character too.
Exactly. Sheila was introduced in the second season and she became like the really strong point of this whole thing and blah 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 blah.
So, I mean,
Anyhow,
that's like an
what I'm
unavoidable
saying
spoiler.
exactly. But that person shouldn't have done that,
Really? But I
actually.
made this. I mean, I
This
understand
is
what you
what you do.
mean.
Okay. Everyone expects that everyone has seen something, wants it out right away. But that's not
Yeah,
how it
that's
is.
not how it
Just
works
because
at
you
all.
have seen it doesn't mean that another person has. I mean, there are so many places in the world where things aren't even available until
Mm-hmm,
a
mm-hmm.
whole long time period. You understand?
Yeah.
That's why I say, first of all, why don't you say, hey, that was good. Did you watch all of that? It was really.
But I mean, sometimes it's just a probably sound like a more
I
mistake
know
type of
sometimes things
situation.
just pop out even though you know that the person didn't
Yeah. I
finish.
have the issue with that when I'm talking to friends who. Okay, let me. I keep coming back to Wano and One Piece for like all of these podcasts for some reason. But I was talking to a friend and they were talking about how they're waiting for Wano to end, and then they would ask me for like little bits of information because they're trying to figure out where they were the last time they read the manga. So I was like dropping like different things. Are you at so and so? Are you at this fight? Are you at this? And they're like, yeah, I think so. Then I slipped out and said something that they didn't know anything about, and they were like, "What?"
So this is first of all, you shouldn't have done that.
It was my mistake because they
No, no,
were
no. This is
trying.
what I mean. You shouldn't ask them. You shouldn't be the one giving information
They,
little
but they,
bits.
but that was how
That
they were
should be
jogging their
them.
memory. I was trying to jog their memory with the
Yeah,
information.
yeah, you jogged.
But getting back to like the whole spoiler thing, say something has come out and it ended like 25 years ago,
No one has any right.
and the person does not know anything about it. Do you think that it's fair that you could spoil the ending to the person?
If I know that the person is watching it or
Uh-huh.
reading it,
Okay.
I'm not gonna spoil it.
Or if they okay, suppose the person asks you how this if this was good, right? So now
You
they're
can be
asking you
vague
can be vague, but they're asking for your opinion on something, right? And
on a
you
certain something
yes, on a certain
that they
something
also
that
saw.
they want to see. They want to go and see it. Okay, this
Okay.
I have to make sure I say this correctly. So they want to go and see it, but you haven't been someone who watched it, read it, whatever, and you got to the end, and you're like, I want to say that yes, you could go, you could probably enjoy it, but at the same time, you don't want to give your friend a terrible like thing where it turns to garbage, but they want to watch it. Do you tell them it's bad or good and then spoil the ending for them or not?
Okay, look. You can tell a person that something is good or
I
bad
know.
without spoiling.
I know.
I feel like you just don't know how to explain things
I can
properly.
explain
Maybe
things
you get
properly.
too excited.
Probably. But, I mean, sometimes people ask for spoilers.
Okay, when a person
That's
asks
when
for
it's okay.
spoilers, you let it go.
You let it
That's my
rip.
opinion. Because it's on that person now. You
Mm-hmm.
know what was coming.
Okay.
But sometimes it happens when, like I said earlier, you were at, the bus stop waiting under the tree.
And the
And
person
for
accidentally
me, that
split
has
up.
actually happened. Not by you, even though you've spoiled lots of things and it was fine. But by other people, like I was watching something or reading something and I barely passed by something and found out what the end was. And I got
Mm.
so unmotivated and dejected. I did not finish it. And I did not feel like, because I knew what happened now. And I was
Yes.
just like, well,
That's what I always feel when you ask me, you just like, give me spoilers. Just tell me
if
how it
okay,
ends.
I am a
And I'm
totally
like,
different person, and it always depends on what the thing is. You
yes.
know, if something I'm really wanting to find out what it is, I'll
Yeah.
come and I tell you, tell me everything.
Yes.
I don't care.
But at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to tell Kim everything because then I know that she can either continue it or she'd be like,
No, no, no.
nah,
That's not how it works at all.
not all the time.
Whenever I ask you to tell me, I always finish.
Oh,
Because
okay.
it doesn't matter what you have to say, but I want to know your take
Oh,
on
okay.
it. Anyhow, other than the spoilers thing, what have you been up to?
Like I really began to seriously like write stuff, writing out my characters, my story, my stuff like that. I'm even thinking of drawing again. You remember when I had that pen art diary? Not
Kind
really a
of.
diary, but it was like a group of like notepads that I used to use and scribble and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking of getting back and doing stuff like that, and then I remember the bunch of like I mentioned this like last episode about the fan fiction stuff, and then I found myself cringing about that as well. And then I remembered that I also used to write poems. Do you remember when I sent the poem into the newspaper, the newspaper that used to go onto all the schools at the time? I can't remember
Yes.
what the name of the newspaper was. One of those newspapers for students, but it was
Yeah.
shared across like the entire different schooling system at the time. I remembered one of the poems, and I found parts of it on one of my old flash drives.
Mm-hmm.
I immediately deleted it. It
Why?
was the cringiest, sad poem thing I've ever read. It was like a poem about this girl that I liked that Kim. It was bad.
Well, I
And
write poetry too,
I like
but
poetry, but I have like secondhand embarrassment about that because I actually thought I'm going to send this to the newspaper, and they published it with my name and everything, and I was like so proud of that. I remember a girl asking me about it at school, and I was like, "Yeah, I wrote that poem. I always do poetry." And I think about it, I'm just cringing at
I
myself
don't
right
think
now.
it's cringed out. Why do you think
No, the
it's...
poem was bad. It was just bad.
What did it say? Roses are red, violets are blue.
No,
I like me, do you like...
it was like this
Nope, that
fluttery
doesn't work.
prose about me and you together. I feel disgusted. I just
Just like the waves float
it
over.
was
I float over
I
to
didn't have
you
the
in the
whole poem
mist.
there. I didn't have the whole poem there. It was just like pieces that I remember writing and I just thought about it and just like I remember writing more of this. It was like four stanzas, no, five or so stanzas long. Each of them was like six or so. It was like a rhyming thing,
Uh-huh.
and the theme was like me rhyming like the
It wasn't her name.
no, it was like I was talking about subjects at the same time, but talking about which subjects represent how. Oh my god, it's so cringy.
Okay,
It
so
was
I
like
think
the
your
subjects.
feelings at the moment came back to you, and it's
It
the
just
feelings.
it was like It was like, my God, was I always this pathetic? It was
Oh,
like I was rhyming somehow, like talking about subjects, and I was rhyming about how the girl and how she looked during these subjects. God, I sound like a stalker. Oh my God,
wow.
it
I
was
didn't
bad.
know that
It was
you.
so bad, and I thought about it for like a while. I just like, ugh. I deleted it. I deleted what little bits that were on that flash key. Cause I just like, I
I
could probably
see.
find it in one of my old emails when I sent it, probably. But oh God, it's just,
I didn't know you had this past.
I do have this
Actually, I
pass.
didn't know that the thing you wrote was about a girl.
Yes, it was, and few people realized that quickly when they read the poem at school, and I was like, "Yeah, it's about a girl," and they were like, "Oh," and that's all she said. She's like, "Oh," and then she walked away. I was like, "Ugh."
Oh, she knew it was about her?
No, it was a different. No, this was completely. It wasn't. I'm confusing myself. A girl asked me about it because she read the newspaper, and she
Uh-huh.
asked if it was about a girl. I said yes. That was it. It wasn't the girl that was talking
Oh,
about who read the newspaper. I don't think she ever knew. Yeah. So yeah, I went down a memory hole of old time cringe, and I was thinking of going and pulling up my Facebook and see if I actually had it there, because I think
oh my God.
yes,
If you have it there, then
yes,
that is
yes,
just, you know,
yes,
it's
Kim.
forever.
It's for I haven't used Facebook in so long. You heard they're trying to change their name or something, since the name is like considered like bad or toxic or something.
Everything is toxic. Anyhow, moving back to me.
Yes.
I've been watching this show that I really like. Actually, it ended the first season. It's called Only Murders in the Building.
Oh, you
It's a
told me
Hulu
about
show.
this.
It's really
Really good.
good. The mystery is really good. It's a mystery comedy, and
Mm-hmm.
the balance of the two is so good, right? It's like sometimes it'll be a serious moment,
Mm-hmm.
but something funny someone will say or someone will do or something will just happen, and it's just so good. It's ah it's really good. The writing, I think, was really good. The best part is the storytelling, the way how the story is being told from the people's
Mm.
perspectives. That part is really good. And I have to say, it's ended now, but I consider this period in time, this is no spoiler time. Since it only, I think it's been, well, to this day, it's
Mm-hmm.
probably been 2 weeks. By the time this comes out,
Oh.
it'll be probably over a month or two,
Oh, okay.
but still, it's no spoiler territory. Okay, because a lot of people may be trying to see it,
Yeah, yeah,
but
okay.
I just have to say that I suspected that character.
From the beginning.
No, in episode 5, at the end of episode 5, I said to myself, this character is sus. Okay, and it turned out to be that character in the end, and now there's a whole other happening.
So there's
Okay.
gonna be a
Anyhow,
season two.
there's gonna be a season 2.
Oh, okay.
I think it'll be really good. I really like the way how the story is told. It's really engaging, really interesting. You should give it a watch.
It's one of those mystery type things, right?
Yeah.
You're solving murders. Okay. I don't know. Maybe I'll give it a go. But you said it has comedy in it, so I'll
Yeah.
probably give it a watch. I'm always good for a good dark comedy type of thing.
If that doesn't work for you, I also watched another mystery,
Mystery.
but it's more like a mystery crime kind of show.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Vigil,
Oh,
that
I
I
know
told
about
you
this.
about.
I know about
Yeah,
this. I
it's
was thinking of
this.
watching
You
this.
should watch it. It's a 6-part series. It's a good mystery, I think. And the way how it shows the two stories, because it's the two main cops who are together,
Mm-hmm.
it's showing the two of them investigating the case on land and under the ocean as well. It's
Oh, okay.
really good. There's this part that is really freaking scary. And I have to say, it would be a spoiler too. But what happens to the lady? I don't think you should watch it in the dark room. It's not. super bad. For some people who don't have certain fears, it'll be fine. But for me, I definitely like kind of felt it
And you're like,
as
I gotta
well.
watch this
Because
in the
first of
day.
all, first of all, the lady is in a submarine,
Uh
and the
huh.
submarines are where?
Underwater.
Exactly. I don't think I have I don't have a fear of water, but the ocean is, it's a no go for me.
Fuck that place, I'm out.
Yeah. And it's because I can't swim, right? So
You can at least float, right?
I don't know what I can do, Christopher. I don't know. Please don't let me think about it. But the lady she has a trauma about it because of what happened to her.
Hmm.
And it's like claustrophobia as well as other things.
Yes.
And it's so, it can be so hard to watch. I just want to
Hmm.
say what had happened.
You can feel the tension in the air.
Yeah, it was wow. I nearly cried a little bit. I think I cried a little bit actually. But this is another one where I kind of pinpointed who it was from the beginning.
Ah.
This time it was from episode 1 actually. It was only a
Wow.
guess. It was a guess, but the reason why, even if you guessed at that point that it wouldn't matter, is because throughout all the other episodes,
Hmm.
because one of the major things is people trying to protect themselves because they had done something, and everything is like getting unraveled as we go along,
Hmm.
and some things have nothing to do with the case, but they're hiding things about themselves,
I gotcha.
which just
Also makes it seem
complicates things.
suspicious. Yes.
Exactly. So
Hmm.
it has a lot of like, it's dramatic in that way.
Hmm.
And that's good too, because you end up thinking that it's more
No one
people
person.
than you
They're
thought.
throwing you. They're throwing you all the information
Exactly.
to keep you confused, but
It was,
making sure that all the information is there so you could still try to guess.
yeah, it was really good though, because in just those 6 episodes,
Hmm.
you get a lot of content. And I think you want to, well, for me anyway, I wanted to keep going. I think I watched the first 2 episodes and was like, yeah. And then I watched all the rest together. I was like, I basically binged it. There was only like a
Mm.
few hours in between like the second and the third. But yeah, I had to keep going. I had to get all of it. It was really good.
Sounds like it was very engaging.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. Anyhow, those are 2 mysteries that I watched recently.
Or you're on feeling that mystery type zone because it's like, ooh, well, it was spooky times, but
No, this was way even before that.
okay.
What is happening? No, I don't do things for oohs. Have you been doing anything else? Seeing anything else?
Seeing anything else? Hmm.
Doing anything else?
I've been playing some video games,
What kind of games?
some RPG games. Particularly one. It's a hentai game. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
thank you. It's called The Last Sovereign, and it's actually a very interesting plot where, okay, there are these three types of magic,
Mm-hmm.
right? There is divine magic, there is arcane or mundane, and there is sex magic.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that is what all that entails or whatnot. And there are these guys called incubus lords or incubus emperors. And sex magic affects people in certain ways. It debilitates them, makes them horny, that type of thing, you know? So he's been terrorizing, and there was a war, and the main character is trying to find a way to raise heroes to fight against the
Okay.
Incubus King. And on his first, like one of his next excursions with a hero, the way the game starts off, you start as the hero, you get to name the hero, and you play as the hero. And you see that the hero is completely like a lecherous piece of shit.
Oh.
Yeah? He's going around, he's trying to screw everything, blah blah blah, and then he dies. The game ends is the game is like, but it's not about you. And it
Okay.
switches to the actual main character who was training him. he's been in this war for like ever, for the longest time, and they get captured by this succubus lady who's helping one of the incubus emperors, or empress king. What I can't remember what he called himself, but she works for him, and she's encountered our main character many times, right, on the battlefield or during fights or whatever. So she grabs him and she sticks something inside of him, a shard,
Okay.
to turn the main character into an incubus emperor as well.
You can do that?
Apparently, we find out way down the road, because I've played the game for 100+ hours. It's actually that fun of a RPG that it took long ass time for her to be able to do that. And the reason why she chose him was because she knew that with him having this power, he would be able to like really like bring peace to the land. So you're playing a main character who has this lewd ability, whatnot, and weird power, but it's being used for actual good. And of course, he starts to build a harem.
Why is there an of course?
Because incubus, to fuel the power, you need to have sex.
Oh, I wasn't asking for an answer. I know about incubuses and succubuses, but
the actual thing is that the characters are entertaining, and interesting, and it's just, you don't play it for the lewd, since a lot of it is text based, and the art is, in my opinion, okay, but not like the most sexy thing honestly. But it really gives you lots of options and choices throughout the game as well. And you don't just play the main character. Throughout the game, you have to switch over and you have to play the rest of the cast. So they go off on their own, they do their own different things, they have their own personalities, they're interacting with each other, learning about one another, getting over. And the game actually goes through a whole lot of time. So right now the game, I'm like 5 years, I want to say it's 5 years in game time, and it actually feels, it's really good. I really like the story in it. It's very fun. You're playing a hero with a power that's been considered evil. There's the whole thing with the church, and the church doesn't like it. And it's too much to explain, but I have not had this fun with a actual RPG, regardless of like the type of RPG is, in a long time. Like, it's just the writing is strong. The writing is really strong, and it actually brings the whole idea that just because something is like a lewd or mature or adult game does not mean that the writing cannot be actually engaging.
So true.
Or just like, it's fantastic. It's like, this is a normal RPG game, but the plot actually works.
There's something that you mentioned that I don't think I've heard with a lot of games, but I don't really have any experience with a lot of games, so you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong. But you said that you played other characters as well as the main character, and also like discovered their stories and stuff.
You pretty much, everyone so far in the harem, there's like 28 different characters I've seen. Each harem member has their own quirks, their own stories. Some of them you can miss. You can completely miss them. They have different things that they like, different things. You can assist them. And the best thing that I like about the game is that you actually have choices. And your choices affect how the relationship with those characters and how they see and how their advances towards you or whatnot. And your choices as well also affect how certain things happen down the road.
Okay,
like,
so it's really fleshed out then.
It's really fleshed out. Like, say, like a battle happened and you have to split up your party. So there's now 4 different characters and you have to choose how things are going to go down. Depending on your choice, somebody might get hurt, or like in my situation, in this game there's orcs. And they're like the other part of the whole sex thing, because they're succubuses and they're orcs, right?
Okay.
you can collect a certain group of what we consider smart orcs, or orcs who have a like they think well or they work well together. And depending on your decisions in the game, you could lose 3 of them in a battle, and they're dead. And they're actual characters that you've talked to, you've gotten their stories or whatnot. They're instantly dead, or they can live.
Wow.
And that also happens to one of the characters in recently as well. Depending on your choice, they can die. And they're permanent. It's permanent death. You can go back and make a choice so that it'll live. But I was too far into the game for me to be like going back because my decisions prior to that mattered.
Right.
Right? So depending on certain decisions, like our area of land is kind of poor right now, or the church hates me more, or they don't, or the church, there's a whole segment in the game where you have to cushy up to the church because what you're trying to do, you're trying to get the suck. You killed the incubus emperor that was on our continent, right? So we got rid of that big evil, right? But now there's a whole bunch of succubuses and there's orcs everywhere. So we assisted the orcs and helped them build their own like home, like their own place, so that they can actually have a culture. We also gave them magic so that they could actually like create smarter art, so they could have some heightened intelligence. So they're not just an army that can be used, so they can have some semblance of being type of thing, right? And so they're in our side kind of thing. And now there are succubuses all throughout the land as well. Ones who were either part of the army, ones who were being controlled by the incubus because they couldn't really go against the emperor because of his power. So now some of those succubuses want to join the church, and they have their beliefs and stuff. They want to join the church. They believe in the goddess and whatnot, and they're like, can we get some acceptance into the church and whatnot? So we go on their behalf, and depending on how your decisions as well, 3 things can happen.
What?
They can join the church. They completely decide, the church decides, no, we're not going to join them. They're not going to allow them in. And they go off and they join the other religion that succubuses believe in. Or they split away and they create their own religion. Completely different from the 2 prior ones. And so there's so much choice. There's a lot of good replay value in the game, even though it's not done yet, really. But I've gotten so much fun out of it.
It sounds really good, actually.
It really
very
is
entertaining.
great. It's very
lots
entertaining.
of adventure, lots of storylines.
Yes, it's really fun. Like I really like
in depth.
Yeah, it's an RPG lover's RPG game, just with a spin with the sex and this love. It's great. It's great. It's very enjoyable.
So you recommend it?
I recommend it. I'm currently at a point in the game though where I got thrown into prison and it kind of resets your power.
Who got thrown into prison?
The main character, yes. Oh, okay. Because too much of spoilers, but there are people out there who seem to be more powerful than incubus emperors and goddesses, because goddesses are the opposite side, and we've met a few of them, and a couple of them are in prison as well.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so we got thrown into prison. The game depowers you all the way down to like level 1, and now the environment is also a puzzle in that you have to go around and find items, and you're trying to fight, but if you feel so weak, and that's the point, because you've been thrown into a prison, and prison is to keep you from getting out, keep you weak. And every now and then the main character like talks about how have I always been this weak? How long have I been here? So he's like going through his like thoughts in his head and thing. And I think the best thing about the main character as well is that because he's actually an older guy as well, it feels good to play because he's pretty much a veteran of like the last few wars before, and he lost his wife in like in the fight. She got evaporated in front of him. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's yeah, it was really bad. But it feels good to play a character who has seen a lot through the... I know some people might want to role play a younger character or whatever, but the game kind of throws that out of the window immediately. And it just feels good to play and hear him speak and have his opinions as well change over time depending on different situations and things that change. It's
Yeah.
great. It's really just, I really like the game.
I can hear that.
Like, the creator Sierra Lee has been making games for a while now, like for years. I know that for a fact. But what is known is that their writing is always pretty good, and I quite enjoy The Last Sovereign. It's a really fun game, really just enjoyable. The current area is hard as shit, but it's really enjoyable.
That's great.
Fun game. But yeah, that's what I've been trying to catch up on it because I haven't played it in a while and update came out not too long ago. So yeah, I've been playing through that. Fun. I really like, for real, I really like when the writing is the core of my games, especially my RPG games.
Yeah.
I do not care how a game looks. Looks don't matter to me. Graphics do nothing for me, right? When it comes to story-driven games. If the story is good, I could look at it could be two stick men talking, but as long as the story is gripping enough, I am in. You know? Yeah.
I think you exaggerate when you say stickman, but I get what you're saying.
Kim, a friend of mine in school, in secondary school, used to write stickman stories that were really, really interesting and funny, and that was entertaining. And every day he had a new one, and I would read them, Kim. It was great. It was silly, it was fun, but he had an eye for writing. It was wonderful. So yeah, I'm not joking when I said it's engaging.
Should I write you a stickman story?
As long as the story and the writing is good, yeah, I'm in. But yeah, great writing over everything.
Which is most important, really,
For me.
you said.
And that's just one game that I've been playing lately. I recently played another RPG, which is Shadowrun. I've played all three of these games because they were remade, or not remade, or they were rebooted series, and I played all of them. I quite like Dragon Run. I think that's what it's called. But I also enjoyed Hong Kong, where the game takes place in Hong Kong. But it's like in the future, like the 50s, that type of situation, with sci-fi, cyberpunk type of situation. I've played it. This is like the third time I've played the game through, so I know all the story beats. I know where to find stuff. But each time I play, I find myself like, it chose a different build. Like the first time I played through as a sorcerer, just to get to understand the game, how the game works. This time I played as a melee fighter, and it was actually melee, Kimberly. It's melee. It doesn't matter.
Isn't it melee?
No, it's
melee.
I've
always said melee.
I've always said melee.
Really?
Yes.
It's M-I-L-L-E.
It's M-E-L-E-E. What are you talking about?
Say it again?
M-E-L-E-E.
I-L-L-E?
What?
What's happening here?
M?
We're thinking about a different word.
L-L-E-T. What the fuck is that?
M-I-L-L-E-T.
Millet? What the heck is that?
It's melee.
No, it's not.
Melee.
Kimberly, you know what we're talking about? You know what I'm talking about? I said melee.
I don't know what we're talking about.
Melee is like close combat. You know, like fighting. Melee combat.
So what am I talking about?
I have no idea what you're talking about. What the hell is millet? That's a fish?
It's not. You don't pronounce the T. Anyhow.
That's not what I'm talking about, okay? I don't know what you're talking about.
Like a melee.
I'm confused. I don't know what you're talking about.
Anyhow.
Yeah,
right?
So I chose a melee character this time around. I probably enjoy that build more because it's all about buffing up and just going and punching things to death. It's actually quite enjoyable. That also has a few choices in that game, but not as many. It's more like it's more how you talk to people. This is also a game that's also decently written. And my biggest issue is that I need more.
But you've played it a bunch of times already.
No,
right?
but I want newer games in that series.
Oh.
It is a CRPG. It has kind of turn-based combat, and it's like you can move your characters across the map and whatnot, like a normal, like a turn-based combat game.
I meant to ask, but
Yeah.
Both of these games are single player.
Yeah.
You can't.
Multiplayer? No.
Oh, okay.
No. I think you will probably like The Last Sovereign if you played it. I think you will also like Shadowrun. Shadowrun is pretty good in my opinion. I guess they're new, but they came out like 5, 6 years
I
ago.
feel like you have told me about Shadowrun.
I have the music on almost everything that I can listen to music on. It's one of those I love especially Hong Kong's OST. It's really good. I've used that music in videos as well that I used to make. It's really great. But yeah, Shadowrun. I like the whole magic and science fiction blending because
Mm-hmm.
the way how the world worked in like Shadowrun was like magic was dead, but then it reawakened again. And so there's dragons. Dragon Run is about dragons. Hong Kong is about this weird mythical other being creatures that exist on misery and are seeping through into like the city, and you have to fight one of them.
I do
Yeah,
remember this. I
yeah,
remember you telling me about
yes.
this.
But I really like that whole blend of urban fantasy mixed with like a
Mm-hmm.
cyberpunk environment type of thing. Not enough stuff does that. There's not enough like that type of fantasy. There's either sci-fi or like cyberpunk, but there's never like magic punk. I guess there's not enough of it, and I quite like Shadowrun's whole take on that type of system. It's really good. Like some people have things called totems, or
Mm-hmm.
really like they're blessed by not like gods, but like beings who offer them power. So like this girl, her totem's like rat, so she can summon rats, and she's kind of behaves like a rat type of thing too. It's great, but I like that game. I like those games. They need to be more. I want a Shadowrun 4 because there's Returns, there's Dragon Run, and then there is Hong Kong, and I need another one.
Right. And do you think that's gonna happen?
I don't know. The ones that came out were Kickstarter. So who
Uh,
knows? I know the studio's still around, maybe, but I enjoy those games. I really like the whole. That's kind of my favorite thing, and that's kind of what I want to write as well. The whole
mm-hmm.
urban environment meets fantasy type of situation, magic in modern day type of thing. I always like that stuff. You know, that's my favorite type of settings. Even though they tend to get bungled.
With human dramatic problems.
I mean, I don't mind drama, but at the same time,
It's always about human interaction,
yeah, well, yeah,
human social problems that kind of bog down things like that.
I guess. Or it's just like the writing isn't strong enough. The setting is
Because
great.
they're writing something like that,
Yeah.
though. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, all of this magic was going on and we were in space and it was really great and they had hovering cars and all the buildings, electricity was powered by magic. But because you remember Sheila from earlier?
Oh
Sheila
god.
cheated on John. John is like this super magic user, and all
Okay.
because of that, the show got derailed. That's what happened, though.
It sounds like you're talking about Grimm again.
Grimm?
You remember Grimm?
Was there cheating in Grimm?
Didn't Watts, the main character, pretty much cheat with Adeline to give birth to that girl,
He
even though
didn't
he was
know he
married?
was cheating.
He wasn't married to his wife, and
No,
then
they weren't married.
was fiance, and then she went
Mm,
wild.
okay,
Man,
no, that's not
I don't
what
know why I
happened.
brought up
That's
Grimm.
not
Oh
what
my god.
happened. This
What,
is. Do
what
I need
happened
to
in
explain
Grimm?
to you?
Yes,
Okay.
explain.
Side,
This
everyone.
isn't a
Let's
side.
go to a
Let's
side with us for a moment.
no. We're having a review about Grimm right now.
It's not a review about Grimm.
Reviewing Grimm starting
Look,
now.
Adeline took a portion she did her whole
Hex Beast
Hex and
bullshit.
Beast thing, and she drunk it and turned herself into
Right.
um
I can't remember her name.
I can remember her real name is Bitsy, but that's her real name. The actor's name is Bitsy. Anyhow, yeah, she took the thing turned
Turned into
into her,
her.
slept with Nick.
Nick.
Okay?
Nick the
Nick
dick.
didn't know. He thought it was.
His fiance.
Exactly. And then time passed, and what's her name got in kind of, I think she had bad stuff happen to her,
She
the
was
actual
possessed
fiance.
or something.
Um
Or something like that.
because
I can't remember.
bad guys took her, things happened to her, obviously because her relationship
With
with
Nick the
Nick,
dick.
right? So basically everything that happened to her was
And
actually
then
his
she
fault. She
killed
kills
his
his
mother.
mother. He's all like, "You killed my mother, and I totally hate everything about you
And then
now."
she ran away
Right. She
to
left
become a super soldier
to
type thing.
become evil
But she wasn't
because
evil either.
right, but she left to do that or
So
something.
stupid, that whole
Anyhow,
plotline.
so Adeline becomes pregnant, goes to Nick. Their thing, he's like, he's all like, "I'm gonna be a
Yeah.
man, take
And
responsibility."
then he ends up being with Adeline.
So they form a relationship.
Ugh.
At first it was really just about raising their kid together, but
Then the kid
then
turned into Super Saiyan and was like the most ultimate being or
oh
something.
god, I don't want
Because
to
she
talk
was
about that.
born of a Grim and a Hex beast. Therefore, she has a whole bunch of powers of a Grim and a.
Can I just tell you, I hear that there are people who are pleased with how it ended, but I am not one of those people. And that is the end. Okay? There was no cheating, or there was
Okay.
no known cheating.
I still remember it all like being it's kind of stupid.
There was impersonation. Let's talk
Uh-huh.
about all the crimes, really. Adeline impersonated Nick's fiance. Then she
Uh-huh.
slept with him, which is actually a crime.
Yes. Is
So
that technically
it is a
rape?
crime. It is
Well, not
technically.
really, because he
It is
didn't
though.
know. Yes, it
It
is.
is
It is
though.
rape. Yes, it
He
is rape.
didn't know.
He
That's
didn't
the whole
know. Yeah.
point.
So
It's
magical
like
rape.
it's like if you think that it's dark in your room at night and you think that the person who walks in is your partner,
And then they fuck
and
you.
then you have sex with them,
But
and
you okay?
then
Yeah, that's
you
definitely
realize that
rape.
it's
Yep.
not the
Yep.
person.
Yep.
It's
That's
not
rape.
your husband or partner or whoever you're in a relationship.
It
It's
was a
actually some
ghost.
stranger or some
It
other
was a hex
person.
beast that looked like your fiance.
Exactly. It is rape.
And then she has your baby, and then you guys decide that I'm going to be a
To form some
man. And
strange relationship that
what happened
started
to
off
that?
with rape.
What happened to that cop guy that was half Hex and Beast? His whole entire storyline.
Oh, you mean Renard? Captain
Yeah.
Renard? He was actually my favorite.
I liked him too, but
I
his
don't
whole
remember
entire
what happened to
storyline
him.
was always really weird with his whole family and stuff. I don't know if it ever went anywhere. And he was with Adeline, and Adeline liked him or something. I don't.
Yeah.
How did he feel about Adeline betraying him and
Listen.
going with
Here's the
Nick?
thing. Here's the thing. When I think about Grimm these days, I actually wouldn't mind rewatching Grimm, but
Yeah.
there's that part though with Adeline and Nick that I need to like speed past.
That's the
Kinda.
end of the show, though. Pretty much leads to the end of the show.
It does, but gosh, why are we
Remember
doing
when
this?
that the Asian cop guy turns out that he also had he was also a thing?
He got turned into
Right, he
something
got
though.
turned into something.
I forget what it was. Whatever.
Some weird monster that eats stuff. But that was a good show. That was a good concept of a show for the
It
most
was.
part. The taking of all that. Oh, all these magical creatures do exist, but they hide among us. In
There was
modern
supposed to
day.
be a spin-off, but I guess that never
Yeah.
happened or never is going to.
Supernatural tried to do so many
I
spin-offs
think
as
there's
well.
still supposed to be something.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know about that. Maybe. I think I heard something about that, maybe.
I did. I saw something in the news, but I
Is there
did not
any,
read
like,
it.
new thing we're probably talking about supernatural type stuff. Is there anything like recent that has come out that's like that right now?
Supernaturally?
Yeah.
That's recent?
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't really been in that genre.
I gotta look that up because I'm feeling the vibe for some magic. You know? some fun urban magic, like I've been talking about all day. Yeah, something interesting like that. The vibe for it. Same way how you were into mystery, I need some supernatural shenanigans that isn't bad. To find that those like a lot of supernatural shows go either one or two ways. They either start off good or they start off bad. Like that one with the guy who the I think I watched one episode of it. The realtor. I can't remember
Oh,
that.
oh, oh,
The one where he like
oh.
houses are like haunted or magical or weird, and
It's
the
surreal
yeah.
estate.
Did we ever figure out? Because that girl, the girl apparently had psychic abilities. Apparently, are common in the world. To the fact that the woman that he was hiring, apparently she had weird psychic abilities. But when
Right,
she
so
was going through
apparently
puberty,
starting fires and doing that kind of stuff
is
at that age is common.
is it was weird because the way how she was talking about it was like if it really was common, and she was helping the other girl who was going through her own thing where the stuff was moving around and stuff. She's like, "Oh, it happens during puberty." I was like, "Huh?" So is this common enough, or because I don't understand the rules of that world?
Right,
Like, 'cause
because
it
you
seems
haven't stuck
people.
around to
So
figure out. You
it
only watched
seems
one
I did,
episode.
but I was almost going to ask you. I'm probably going to go and watch the rest of it. You've watched more, right?
I haven't.
Oh, but I kind of want to watch more of it because it seems like magical or weird phenomena is a readily accepted thing that actually kind of happens in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to see if that's actually true because you don't see that a lot. It's always be
Right,
like,
where
oh,
the
this stuff is
world knows.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Usually
yeah.
it's in the,
It's in the dark
dark
or it's hidden or
alley.
stuff. Like I've read stuff where magic is kind of like known or it popped up and stuff in modern day, but it's mostly like that whole uh game type screen type situation. I hate that. I really I read them, but I hate like the whole everybody the world has access to this. No, it's no gaming world and there's screens that pop up.
Right,
Some of them are good.
it
I
feels
won't.
like the world is not really modern, like it takes on this whole advanced kind of
There are
way.
some that are good. It's called the omniscience reader's viewpoint,
Oh, I know that.
right? It's pretty good because it's a story that then popped to life across the entire world apparently, and he read out the entire thing. So everybody's become a gamer type of situation where the screens. I don't mind that, but
Hmm.
some of them are so aggressively bad. I just especially somewhere it could have just been a fantasy world. It could have just been fantasy, and they could have just said people know magic.
Right.
You know, like so much. You don't need to have the screens and stuff. You don't even need to have like the inventory type shit. Like, there's also one called "The Skeleton Can't Protect the Dungeon."
I've seen that
It's
recently.
pretty good actually in the way the story is being told, and it's because the skeleton realizes that every time he dies, he's sent back in a time loop.
Hmm.
But some stuff sometimes changes and some things don't change. And we're getting to the point where certain characters are remembering that he helped them like in a previous loop,
Hmm.
right? So some people are like, maybe we can do this over in a certain loop, but he's trying to avoid a keep looping type of situation too. Because it's great. Just read it. Just read it. Just read it. Seriously, just give it a read. Because I want to talk to somebody else about this. And scrolling down to the comments on most stuff like this just ends up running into readers who spoil everything. And I don't want to be spoiled.
Okay.
Yeah, I find that an ORV, the omniscient viewer thing, anything that has a LN that becomes a manhwa or a manga, the comments are such a landmine for just some people opening their mouth and spoiling entire lengths of the series because they need to let everybody know that they know. Kimberly, they need to let
Well,
everybody know.
I
But that's
think
my fault for going into the comments and expecting people being
right.
civil,
So there are rules on certain
where you have to
sites,
spoil their text, and most people do follow the rules, or they
but
get
I
banned.
feel like people shouldn't if you if you come from the original piece of work, right?
Yes.
And this is a another version of that work,
Hmm.
then you shouldn't be all in the comments being all like, well, you know.
The only thing I don't mind is when like a few the translators or whatever they put at the end, here's what changed in this chapter versus the actual novel chapter that this
Hmm.
coincides with. I do not mind that. I do not mind being like, okay, they changed the talk or whatever, or they changed how this conversation or how this fight went, right? I don't mind that. But do not spoil anything
Exactly.
for me. Do not.
Like, well, in the next chapter, y'all are gonna be really blah blah
And
blah.
then thing
It's
is
like,
going to pull out the Sharingan, and then he's going to go into the that type of stuff. I don't know. Don't do that. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say for magic fantasy bullshit for the night.
okay. Um, Let me just add one last thing.
Yes.
Really short. Don't make it long, Christopher. Don't make it long. I started to read Berserk.
Really?
The end. And that's all we have.
You can tell me that you get any Berserk, that you get any podcast. Really?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
That is all the time that we have. This Christopher, the way you're looking at me
Yeah.
is so funny.
Because this is news to me. I didn't know you started actually reading Berserk.
I know. Okay.
How far are you?
No, we're not going to talk about it.
Okay.
And I'm not far. You know
Okay.
what? I was reading it the other day and I was like, hey, I'm pretty far. And then I realized, oh, that number isn't volumes, that's chapters. And I was like, oh, you're so funny getting numbers mixed up.
What chapter are
Anyway,
you at?
I'm really in the beginning.
Can I just tell me the chapter, Kim?
No,
Oh.
before 100.
Okay.
Okay.
That's fine. I'm excited actually that you started to read it because this is one of my favorite manga.
I know, we don't want to talk about it. I don't want you to get into it.
Okay. Oh,
When I catch up.
yes.
I mean, initially I did not even want to say anything to you.
Well, now my expectations are high for my younger
Why
sister.
are they high? Lower them. Matter of fact, put them on the ground.
Okay.
Goodness.
Okay. I'll wait for you to catch up because, well, the series has ended since the author has passed,
I
and
know.
which is really sad and unfortunate. But I'm glad you're reading it. It's still a worthwhile, magnificent read, in my opinion. So, I'm glad you started it. So yeah,
Well, I'll get there. Probably not.
take your time.
Actually, I don't know when I'm going to get there. It's probably possible to do it within the rest of this year,
And yeah, that's fine. Take your time to read it. It's not going
but I'm not
anywhere.
gonna do that, is what I'm saying.
That's fine.
That's all for tonight.
That is all for tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed and have a good one.
Good night, everyone.